Hello, it's midnight. I'm Joseph Willett, and you're listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 WMAB Orono, Maine. Tonight's mystery episode was going to be about fear, but it turns out I'm the only one that showed up. So, hopefully people will show up soon. I'm going to stall until then, and I guess we should get started. Like I said, you know me, I'm your friend, your main boy till the end, Joseph Willett. I'm the man, Superfly, here I am. And, yeah. I figure while we wait, we can talk about finals. I'm about as prepared for finals as I am for a solo episode of the Mystery Hour. Let's see. I took a final in business law. For those of you who don't know, I'm second year in paranormal law, and I'm going on to my third next year. And I thought this would be a good little story to start off with, lighten the mood. So what happened was, I'm not the greatest of students. I skip class from time to time, and at the end of a semester last year, I skipped the class before finals, and I thought, no big deal. The class before finals, nothing's gonna really go on there. It turns out that final was a two-part final, and yeah, so I came in next time do my final, and it turns out I needed the first part to do the second part, and I had to act like the professor lost it, and that actually turned out very well for me. He felt extremely bad, and he felt so bad that he gave me an A+ on it. And that's just good business. No one has showed up yet, so I'm just gonna keep riffing. Maybe talk a little bit about myself, answer some common questions. My favorite color is purple. Let's see what else. If I had to pick a favorite song, I think it would probably be the Monster Mash. Obviously, it really fits with all my interests. I love music, I love monsters, I love mashed potatoes. People will always want to know what I look like because I have such a handsome voice, so I must be a handsome man. I look a lot like a young Doc Brown. I think part of that is because when I get nervous, I run my fingers through my hair, and I have very curly hair, and it stands up. And yeah, so if any of you ladies are interested in a young Doc Brown, come down to WMAB. Speaking of nerves, why do we get nervous? Have you ever thought about that? It's just it doesn't really make sense to me. Like doing a radio show alone, that can make you nervous. At first, I thought, if I had to riff for a little bit, it'll be fine. A little bit nervous now. Last time I was nervous, Pretty Women make me nervous. I was at Pat's Pizza the other day with Roy Michaels and my friend Mary and Mary's friend Shannon, and I just completely shut up. They're both so beautiful, both Mary and Roy. Shannon's okay. And, oh, just 1 second, I dropped something. Let's see here. Man, it is hard to grab this. If you're just tuning in, the mystery of this hour is, where is everyone? Where is everyone tonight? Who knows? Just keep listening to 91.9 FM, WMAB, Orono, Maine. Find out. Hopefully I'll find out too. Oh, man. A lot of dead air. Oh, just 1 second. And now, I think it might be possible that it's an alien abduction. That, they got my boys. They could be at a party in Ellsworth, a wonderful town. Um, I would be very disappointed if they left me for a party in Ellsworth because, you know, I love that city. We all do. It's a wonderful place. Um, what other possibilities could there be? Last week we did have werewolves. We talked about werewolves, and that could have put a target on some of our heads. Um, Maybe I could tell another story right now while I wait for hopefully my boys to show up. I've got nothing. I'm flubbing hard here, all by myself without my boys. I'm not really a
Joseph,
solo.
what's going on? What are you doing?
Roy, my boy.
Whoa.
What are you doing?
Hold
Where's
on.
everyone?
We canceled. You didn't.
Canceled.
Joseph, how did you even, first off, how did you even get in to the station right now?
Expert lockpicking.
Yeah, don't you pay attention to we have a group chat we coordinate on. It's finals week. We had so much to do. We didn't plan anything. We canceled the show. What? You've just been doing a one-man show?
Yeah, I came in here and I started flubbing hard, waiting for my boys to show up.
Well, your boy is here, but I don't know if the other guys will be here. I was just listening to the radio, doing some studying, thinking about ghosts, and to my complete surprise, I hear your voice, Joseph's voice. Is this? Do you think you're too good for us?
Absolutely not. I just, you know, the show must go on or break a leg, and I really didn't
Well,
want my
there
legs
is a
broken.
very strict break a leg policy here. If you do miss a show, they will break your legs.
Yeah, and I really didn't want that. I might start jogging soon, lose a bit of weight.
That's good. I weighed my GPA against my legs and decided to just invest in maybe a pair of crutches or a wheelchair and just, you know, take the hit, take the break. I can recover, you know, because let this be a lesson to you, college students out there. Pain is temporary, but GPA lasts forever.
That's a very good point, Roy. Unless you work for yourself. As I said earlier, I am going into paranormal law.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's pretty good. It's a lot like normal law, because, you know, vampires and werewolves, they're people too.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely do have to take into account the rights of paranormal entities, especially werewolves, because it's really lycanthropy is a mental illness. If you slay the beast, you also slay the man, so to speak.
That's exactly. You know, it's just a hard thing to get across. Like, can you punish a man for the crimes of a beast that he has no control over?
Exactly, and furthermore, can werewolves use any bathroom they want?
I think. Oh, that's a tough question to answer. As I said, I'm only a second year paranormal.
Well, I
law.
think an important thing to consider, and I don't really think it's that big of an issue, personally, but I think there should be certain restrictions in place, dependent on the phase of the moon. Certainly, a full moon would be a bad situation.
Yeah, that's obviously comes into play because when they're not a werewolf, they're just a regular person. But what do you think about vampires? Because they're dangerous, you know, no matter what time of day.
Well, I'll say it. I've said it once before, and I'll say it again. Vampires are monsters, and they need to be destroyed. And we here at the Mystery Hour, you know, we're gonna lead that fight.
You don't think we should try to find a cure for them?
It's too far gone, too risky.
Do you think that there are just too many vampires at this point to actually find a cure for all of them and be able to administer the cure?
Oh, absolutely. Well, as you know, I'm an Orono resident, and during the day, I see a few people walking the streets at night. I mean, walking the streets during the day. Excuse me.
That's all right.
I'm just doing a little bit of Freudian foreshadowing slips. But at night, the streets are just filled with people, and the only thing that makes sense to me is this is the symptom of a very serious vampire epidemic.
That's a good point. The vampiric germ can actually lay dormant in someone's system for a long time, and they can transfer it without even knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why you have to really just practice vampire etiquette. For example, if someone asks to be invited to your home, you really have to know if you trust them. Don't let people just let themselves in. Well, actually, let me backpedal a little bit. It should be established that you should just let people walk into your house, because those that wait for permission must be vampires.
That's a good point. Now, what do you think about vampires? They're trying to live their day-to-day life. They're trying to go back to normal. They're finding blood in different ways. What do you think about them going into stores? Do you think they should have a special way to get into Hannaford?
Well, I think the doors at Hannaford do open.
Oh, as a
automatically.
Symbolic.
Yeah, and I think that is a symbolic invitation.
Okay.
And possibly that could have been established to cater to a vampire population, perhaps in the higher up corporate entity of Hannaford.
That is a good point. Do you think any of the higher ups at Hannaford are vampires, and they know that
well,
an automatic door just lets them in?
I mean, that's a good question. I have thought about this a lot before, and I go to the grocery store quite often. I'm more of a multiple trips kind of guy instead of a big haul.
Yeah.
And I never once see blood in the stores. Human blood is never available.
Could be in the back.
Could be in the back, yeah. Could maybe like a special passcode to get in, like a Sam's Club card, just a blood card.
Or they could just show their teeth.
I do want to actually use grocery stores as an example as to why I think vampires are in fact evil. If you go to the sort of plant-based food section, you'll find a variety of different meat substitutes, like meatless meatballs, tempeh, tofu, but you'll find soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, rice milk, hemp milk, but you'll never find a soy blood. You'll never find a blood substitute. And that makes me think that there is no market for vampires who wish to not murder a human being to get their nutrition.
That's a good point.
Do you see what I'm getting at here?
I have heard of vampires employing someone that worked at a hospital to steal blood bags.
Would you do that?
If I was a vampire?
No. If you worked at a hospital, would you allow someone?
Well, obviously a vampire, they live for a long time. They're gonna be able to grease your palms pretty well, and I don't know how much. I guess it depends on how much they can give me. Every man has a price, and I certainly have mine.
Artifacts.
I love artifacts. If they can give me any.
Yeah, because if you're
artifacts,
immortal, you definitely have a few artifacts.
Definitely.
Kicking around.
Yeah. Do you want to switch up and go to ghosts?
Yeah, I can go to ghosts. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So first off, what? You just came in. You just came in here, not thinking.
I just wasn't thinking. I'm glad you came in here. I was flubbing hard on my own, just kind of stalling for time, waiting for my boys.
You probably weren't flubbing. I wish I had a boys jar because I'd be a millionaire at this point. But yeah, what kind of ground did you cover? I'm kind of coming in blind here. I want to know where we're going so I can kind of pick up the narrative.
Oh man, I was just all over the place. Just nothing to do with paranormal. I called myself Superfly. I kind of just blacked out.
Nothing to do with paranormal. That is highly unusual for the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and #1 late night paranormal talk show right here on 91.9 FM WMB Orono, Maine.
Well, I did talk about
Fridays at midnight.
I did talk about my class in paranormal law.
How's that going, by the way? You mentioned it.
Good. That was actually a year ago, and I'm finishing up this semester. Um, but yeah, so far the degree's going pretty well. It's hard. I wanted to switch to Ghost because it's a lot trickier in Ghost Law. Ghost Law is just way different from.
I do have some questions about Ghost Law.
Yeah, fire away, man.
So, if you know it, like, say you were a landlord, right?
Yep.
And you knew that your property was in fact haunted by not necessarily a very aggressive paranormal entity, but it was definitely haunted, and you knowingly leased it out to tenants. Would that could you be held responsible for some sort of civil or criminal violation in the paranormal court of law?
That is a tough question. What it depends on most is if they had to go and find out if when the ghost was alive, if they actually owned that land and the building that was on that land at the time, and if they had paid it off and they died in that land and they didn't sell it off themselves, then they have a right to be there, and you don't really have a right to kick them out. So in that case, it's just the tenant's fine. You can't really sue the landlord in that case. But if it's just a ghost that or any sort of poltergeist that infested the home, then yeah, the he's not good for him, man.
Could the ghost sue the landlord in the argument you gave for a lawn haunted property?
They can, but they don't usually get too much out of it. A lot of the times what happens is the landlord just has to keep getting new tenants for the ghost to spook, because ghosts love to spook things, and they love human interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, like I kind of would not mind living in a haunted apartment or home, so to speak.
I would feel safe, I think.
You would feel safe, really?
Yeah, because once it was established that the ghost wasn't gonna harm me, it could scare off intruders, like a.
So are you saying that instead of getting some sort of guard dog, I could just have a ghost? I could just let a ghost take care of my property, protect me, my wife, and adopted cat son Peanut?
Absolutely. How is your wife doing, by the way?
She's, a Selkie, as we talked about it in the werewolf episode. When you find a Selkie, for those of you who didn't tune in last weekend, shame on you. A Selkie is a form of lycanthrope who is a seal in water. It spends about half of its lifetime in the ocean, but when the Selkie comes to the land, it takes on the form of either a handsome man, in the case of my wife, or a beautiful woman, and it leaves its pelt behind, and it hides it, because the legend goes that if you find the pelt of the Selkie, it will no longer be able to transform back into its seal form and return home to its aquatic habitat, and it will also be stuck with you throughout the rest of its life. So you can kind of go grab yourself a lifetime companion if you go pelt hunting. Just point out your watch, friend.
Well, I was just saying, it's a great time to take a break. I'm Joseph Follett. It is 12:20. This is the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM WMAB Orono, Maine. And yeah, we're just going to take a short break, and I'm glad that my boy came to join me.
I'm glad to be here as well, and you are doing a terrific job, but I will still be the host next week.
If you like bands like Mr. Bungle, Gogol Bordello, and the Dead Milkmen, then listen to Lookout Below, Wednesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. for anything loud, fun, and unusual. I'm Aaron, and I'll be your host every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. on WMEB 91.9 FM.
Hello, welcome back. You're listening to the Mystery Hour, the first, only, and number one late night paranormal talk show right here on 91.9 FM WMEB, Orono, Maine. I'm here with my good friend Joseph.
Hello.
Who, unknown to me, hijacked the show that I've worked so hard to create and attempted to destroy it on
Now,
live air.
Roy, it wasn't a hijacking. Nobody had told me it was canceled.
Let's see the phone. Let's look at the.
Okay, here's the thing about our group chat, Roy. We're a bunch of dinkuses, and
Watch
one
your
morning-
language on there.
I'm sorry. I get frustrated. I get fired up. One morning, I woke up with 99 text messages, and I was not going to read through all of those.
When we started the mystery hour, I had all of you sign a contract. Remember, we took a blood oath. We became blood brothers. It was signed under the stars. The old god, Yog Sarath, looked over at the event, and we all became this team. And if you read the fine print, which was also written in blood, you will see that I expect you to scour every single group text message that is sent out.
You know, I think you're right. I actually didn't read them. That was before my time in paranormal law, and you know, I apologize. I was wrong.
I forgive you.
Thank you, Roy.
So yeah, you started the show. You were one man talking to himself. What's that like? I don't see a lot of one-person talk shows, let alone one-person paranormal talk shows, except for, of course, you got Papa Clyde Lewis, just on Ground Zero. He talks to himself, but he also has interviews, and I see you didn't bring an interviewee in with you.
I didn't bring anything. I came unprepared. I was ready for the theater episode. It was really hard to you know, talk to yourself on the radio. It's hard to have a conversation without any responses at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have just, you know, talked to ghosts. That's kind of something we've tried to do, and clearly on the Ouija board episode, we used it so improperly that I would not be surprised if there was some sort of spirit that came through.
That's a good point. I just didn't think about that. I thought you guys would just be in the door any minute.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
We let you down, huh?
I think I let everyone down.
So, back to this whole situation you got yourself in. You were, you know, just one-man talk show, and in the bowels of the University of Maine. What's it like to probably be the only soul at the moment in this gigantic building, but also in the basement? Did you feel afraid?
I felt terrified. I'm not gonna lie. Not only am I afraid of height, I'm afraid of depths. So being in a basement was just, you know, it was hard for me.
You know, I don't see you. I go to your house quite often, and I don't see you in the basement.
Yeah, I don't go in the basement.
Mm.
Too deep. It's also the basement at the bottom of a hill, I'd like to point out. So it's not ridiculous that I don't go down there.
Yeah. I mean, I understand.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather face a hurricane than face a basement.
Would you like to? Well, you just did go on record by saying that.
I think I could 1v1 a hurricane.
1v1 a hurricane.
Yep.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't. I believe in you because you did do a one-person talk show, and that is fantastic.
I did not do it well though.
Sure you did. Sure you did. I was listening to it on my 90-mile-an-hour drive over here.
You shouldn't speed. That's dangerous.
I kind of want to backpedal and sort of get back to fear, to kind of do a glimpse, because that is our next episode. So you mentioned you're afraid of height.
Yep.
You're afraid of depth.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you are afraid of?
Dog-sized spiders.
Dog-sized spiders. That's a
Yep.
very rational fear.
Yep. When I was young, I had a younger brother, and he actually got infected, and he turned into a dog-sized spider. It's a whole thing of how it works, but why is that funny?
You're joking, right?
I'm not.
I wasn't laughing.
That sounded like a laugh.
What was your brother's name?
Ezekiel.
I'm so sorry to hear about Ezekiel.
That's okay. I wasn't we weren't strong enough to put him down. So unfortunately.
Do you mean, like, put him down, like you had to battle him because he became a... I'm sorry to dramatize this horrible thing that happened to you and your family, but Lumi continues. So do you mean put him down as you had to fight this dog spider that was once your little brother that you loved so much?
Well, we didn't actually have to fight him. It was at a family reunion, so the numbers actually scared him off into the woods before.
So it wasn't just you circled around him and just stomped him into a bunch of goo.
No, I didn't do that to my brother, Roy.
That's good.
But it all happened so fast. We were shocked, and he was obviously afraid of the amount of people around. So he scurried off in the woods, and it's obviously dangerous, but I still hope he's okay. It's dangerous for him to exist now, but I still there's a little part of me that wants him to be okay.
Do you ever sort of think about encountering your lost brother in the woods?
Yes, I do. I bought a sword for this purpose, and every Sunday I go out into the woods.
Is the purpose of the sword sort of a peace offering?
No, it is to slay him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so every Sunday I go into the woods and I look for giant spider tracks, giant webs, anything that could lead me to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I had a good spider story prepared for you, but I don't. I can only offer you my condolences for your lost spider brother.
I appreciate that, Roy.
Do you want to hear something that scares me?
I would love to.
Shadow people.
Shadow people?
Yeah, have you ever seen a shadow person?
Sometimes when I need to hype myself up, I do shadow box, and one time I did lay a 5 on one's left, and I dropped it.
Can you... what language? Was that English?
When you lay a 5 on someone's left, it's when you punch them on the left side of the face with your right hand.
Yeah, but you fought a shadow, so you weren't punching anything. Get a load of this guy, Orno Main. But yes, I am deeply afraid of shadow people. There was a period in my life for about... I want to say it was like a 2-month period where I'd frequently wake up at 3:33 a.m. in the morning. And as you know, that is sort of the witching hour, or the devil's hour, or the spooky hour. Not the mystery hour, because that's midnights on Friday right here at 91.9 FM WMEB Orono, Maine. But yes, it was the witching hour, and at the time I was much younger than I am now, and I was more afraid of that sort of thing. I was definitely, like, anything related to the devil at that age spooked me quite a bit.
Of course.
Catholic upbringing, you know how it is.
I do not.
Oh, we got some diversity here on the program tonight.
Yep.
But anyway, so I'd frequently wake up at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and it would often be marked by very strange coincidences that maybe at the time I was sort of looking at it through the lens of, this is the witching hour, this isn't a coincidence, scary stuff is happening. But for example, my cat's son Peanut, I would wake up and he'd be running all around the house, screaming these like terrible little half meows through his silly little mouth, which was a little bit jarring. And there was instances where I experienced sleep paralysis. And one time, I could kind of see, I don't know if this was real sleep. Have you had sleep paralysis?
I do. I get it every once in a while. Say about once or twice a month.
Yeah, so I didn't know if it was genuine sleep paralysis, or if I was dreaming that I was sleep paralyzed in some sort of horrible nightmare world. Because in the dream, I could see through my eyelids, but I couldn't move, and the curtains in my room were sort of blowing like there's this terrible wind like gusting against my house. They were entirely vertical, and they were buffeting at like a very quick rate. And sort of in between the two curtains, there was a person, but I could only see the shadow just looking back at me. And since then, I've sort of developed this fear of if I wake up in the night and it's dark in my room, I'm going to see a shadow person again. Well, a few months ago, it was towards the start of the semester, also towards the start of the mystery hour, which I think is no coincidence. I woke up from a dream and saw someone clearly standing in my doorway. I even got up and said, hello, and quickly they dematerialized, and I realized that I was just up alone in my room talking to myself, probably terrifying my roommate.
Now, do you think this shadow person had appeared as support of the mystery hour, as to say, I'm here, tell the world about me? Or do you think he tried to warn you not to do it? Do you think it was a threat, or do you think it was support?
It definitely had some sort of, I felt some harbinger of doom vibes.
Okay.
For example, I don't go down that road right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the type.
I know the type. Now, but can you expect anything else from a shadow person? Because all we ever hear about them is scary things. So if we ever see one, we just imagine that that's a negative person. That's a negative paranormal entity.
Yeah, well, a shadow person is completely dark because they resemble a shadow, and traditionally in paranormal like schools of thought, black represents an entity that is of an evil or a demonic nature.
That's a good point, but let's tear down those walls. Let's see if that's really the thing.
That's true, because I have also been afraid of ghosts that have been completely white and translucent.
Yeah, so maybe it just depends completely on each separate entity. They're their own thing.
Yeah, well, it is I'd like to mention that it's 12:34, so we are entering the second portion of the show, which I like to refer to as the mystery half hour.
Yep.
Glad you agree.
That is correct. No, it was interesting that you, I guess not interesting, it's just relevant that you brought up the witching hours at 3:33, because if I go to bed before 3:30 a.m., I usually have nightmares, but if I go to bed afterwards, I do not.
So how often are you forced to have nightmares?
I tend to stay up till 3:30 as often as I can. I don't have nightmares. I don't like having nightmares. I have them, I have them a lot about snakes, even though I'm not really scared of snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about this on the dreams episode, but might as well just do a recap of the show.
Well, yeah, you had a pet named Snakey, correct?
I did have a snake named
Snake named Snecky.
Yep, that was him. And yeah,
Was he poisonous?
He was not.
But like, could he like do like a really like sick bite and like maybe kill like a mouse if you gave him one?
He could kill a mouse. You know what does scare me about snakes and all reptiles is if you watch them hunt, you can never see the train of thought through their eyes of when they're going to attack.
Yeah, there's a very like cold, calculated, precise movement.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I've seen videos. I look it up because it terrifies me. But it was either a snake or some sort of lizard. I can't remember now. But it was holding its head there still, and a mouse came up and sniffed it, and I thought, well, this is it. It's, the mouse is right in front of its mouth. Why wouldn't it get it? But it just waited, and the mouse, it looked around the tank for a little bit longer, and then it got him.
They got him.
Got him.
Do you think that snakes and reptiles lack empathy?
I do. They're ferocious, and I don't think they're I'm not even sure if they're from this world originally.
Do you think that pet reptiles want to be your friend or your adopted reptile sons or daughters? Or do you think that you're just this thing in its environment that one day may be strong enough to kill?
I think it could depend on what age you got the reptile. I think if you raised it from its hatching, it could be, it could see you as a kin of some sort.
Well, see, this is my thought, because if you are a little kid and you get the snake, it's not long until it's, bigger than you, and they can easily coil around you, digest you, so to speak.
That's a good point. For all we know, they could always just be biding their time until they're big enough.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
This is a little anecdote I just want to throw in before we move on to a different topic.
Yep.
I saw footage of a little iguana, right? Or so I thought. It was some type of lizard that dives down into the ocean and eats off little barnacles, and I just thought, well, gee, that's just the darndest thing.
That is the darndest thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So back to ghosts.
Ooh.
We were just talking about how the color black in sort of paranormal events usually is the not defining characteristic of a demonic event, but definitely an indication. And I do have probably my best ghost story from my childhood that involves that very concept, if you want me to just let it rip for you tonight.
I would love to hear it, Roy.
Well, usually when I do this, I like to have some background noise, so could you just hum the entire time, some like ambiance?
Yeah, about...
Just take a deep breath.
Do you want to, like a low hum?
Well, it's probably
hum?
going to be... Could you do a sustained hum for about 6 minutes?
I can try. I don't know how long it'll last.
Let's give it a shot.
All right.
I believe in you.
Do you mind if I start just a few seconds after you start?
Well, I think you should just start before I start, so it kind of builds suspense, and then I get into it.
Well, I'm worried that I'm gonna start humming, and then you're just gonna...
I wouldn't do that to you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start humming now.
Long ago, when I lived in my apartment on French Island, I was once... I'm sorry, could we
Yeah.
It's a little bit too high-pitched for my taste.
I asked you how high or low you wanted it, and you said it didn't matter.
Well, I thought... We've been doing the show. This is the 10th episode, and you can't even give me a hum?
I was humming my heart out, man.
All right. Well, no hum, but if you feel the terror seep into your body, let it escape through a hum while I tell my story.
I'll do that. Does it have to be a low hum?
I just want to do this.
Then do it. You're the one that stopped this, Roy.
Okay. So, when I was younger, one of my earliest memories, I was in the bathtub. I was taking a bath, and I was clearly very young, because this was at the age where you had to take... Did my story just fall off there, or?
I ran out of air.
My inhaler's in my backpack.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, I was very young when this happened. It was at the age where when you take a bath, you have to have your parents chaperone you. So I was about 16.
Of course.
Just kidding. I was like 2, just having a laugh. Anyway, so I was in the bathtub, and I always sort of had this subconscious fear of the back portion of the tub. And I think it's because when you opened the shower curtains, that portion of the tub was obscured the light, so it cast a shadow, and it was dark. So whenever I played with my, I had an aquatic Batman action figure.
Ooh,
Yeah,
describe it.
it was pretty lit. But so I'd move back. I'd stay away from that part of the tub. But one day I was taking a bath. My mom was in there, and I sort of scooted back, right?
Yep.
And I kind of, for whatever reason, I decided to go to this back portion of the tub, despite my, best interest. And I was sitting there, just minding my own business, getting clean, and between the shower curtain and the back wall, I saw what appeared to be a very dark hand. It seemed like it was made of thorns, so to speak. And I think the reason why it's one of my earliest memories is that feeling of the fear I felt at that time is like wholly unique. I've never been that scared in my life since. It was like it was coming from it seemed like it came from a very primal place. Like, even though I was young and I'm still sort of making sense of the world, I knew that what I just saw did not belong. It wasn't in my genetic programming. And I instantly just froze up, and it sort of felt like the liquid in my stomach solidified into like a very hard concrete, and I was covered in goosebumps. And that was that. I mean, I saw it. I was afraid. More afraid than of the dark portion of my bathtub throughout the rest of my life since then. But I kind of carried on with it. And, like with most old memories, the certain details become ambiguous. And you are not entirely sure if what you are remembering actually happened or if it was a dream. And I always wrote this experience off as just a dream I had when I was young, like a very early nightmare. I never gave it much thought. I just kind of filed it away. Well, a few months ago, I was visiting my mom, and my mom, bless her heart, she's listening tonight. Love you, Mom. Happy early Mother's Day. She's very into the paranormal and has claimed to live in numerous haunted houses. And every time I'm like, you are just full of it, Roberta. And she was trying to tell me that the apartment that we lived at on French Island was in fact haunted. I was like, no, like I never once got the vibe that place was haunted. And then she looked at me, and she was very serious. And she said, well, what about that time when you were in the tub? And at that moment, I was still smiling, like joking around with my mom. But on the inside, it was like all of my nerves just sort of dropped. It was that fear again that kind of crept up on me.
Are you saying she also saw the hand?
No, but she saw me react to the hand.
Okay.
But it sort of confirmed that, no, Mike, that wasn't just a dream, that actually happened.
It's interesting that you referred to yourself as Mike instead of Roy. For those of you who don't know, Roy's last name is Michaels, and we do sometimes call him Mike.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. When I refer to myself in third person, I'm very familiar with myself, and I do choose to use a nickname.
Yeah. For instance, when I do the same thing, when I do it, I call myself Big Papa J, or the J Train.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one else calls me that, but I like it.
I could start calling you that.
You definitely could.
The J Train.
J Train. J Train has no brakes.
The J Train has no brakes.
No brakes, buddy.
Well, I have I have another anecdote.
I'd love to
add to the story, but when I do that, you see that shelf to your right?
Yep.
Could you reach into it and grab me the Dead Ghosts album?
I can do that.
All right. But yeah, so that moment sort of stuck with me in my head, and I started piecing things together, and I realized that my childhood home was sort of marred by all sorts of very weird occurrences. And it seemed that since it was an apartment complex, these events were being shared. Thank you, J-Train. You were such a good sport.
Not a problem.
All right. I'm going to have you riffing a little bit while I put this in.
Well, I'm great at riffing, even though I did terribly at the beginning of the show.
And we are talking about verbal riffing because I've never seen you play guitar.
I can't play any instrument, actually. I did play the saxophone in elementary school. I didn't keep up with it. Tenor sax, if you were going to ask.
I wasn't, but
well, there you
I'm
go.
glad you threw that in.
Yeah.
Anyway, thinking back to it, it seemed like the people who also lived in the apartment complex with me at the time were experiencing strange phenomena. And so when our parents got together, they would exchange stories, and us kids, we would sort of overhear little whispers, little breadcrumbs. So when we got together and we were out playing in the woods by our house, we'd share the crazy stuff we were hearing. For example, a guy who lived in my apartment, 2 apartments over, swears that he was in the shower, and as he felt an urge to open the curtain, kind of peer into the bathroom. Again, this is happening in the bathroom. Don't go to the bathroom on French Island. But he opened the curtain, and in the mist, he saw what appeared to be the dark shadow of a little girl standing there.
Ooh.
And immediately after, we had a power outage. And I don't necessarily know if that's true.
Well,
but then
I'm sorry to interrupt.
you can go for it.
It's always dangerous if you do see a paranormal entity that takes the form of a little girl, because they usually precede something extremely dangerous. Like they're more than likely getting in as many spooks as they can before the master spook comes in and starts spooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Do you have an example?
Not off the top of my head. It's in the field, because I'm not just paranormal law. I'm also a paranormal journalist. In our field, you do see that all the time. And when you see, a little girl, that's where that's where the story is. There's a big bad coming this way, and that's where you gotta go get the story, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm definitely not going to go get the story, though, because as you'll find out next episode when we talk about fear, I am afraid of ghosts.
Yeah, I actually am too, but, you just got to conquer your fears. If you don't, you die. And if you do, sometimes you die. You're going to die.
Yeah, you are all mortal. But on that note, I think let's cut to I'm feeling a PSA.
I know it, man.
Let me just get it going. How do you feel about track 4?
Track 4, you say?
Track 4.
Track 4.
All right, you are listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM WMEB. I'm Roy Michaels. It is now 12:50, and we'll be going on a very, very short break.
Today, my new dad threw a barbecue.
I burnt everything.
Ah! And then we played catch.
I broke Mr. Lewis's window. And then, somehow, my hand. My hand!
And then my dad even let me drive his car.
The hospital's on the right! It was a rough day.
It was a great day.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. I'm Roy Michaels, and you are listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM at WMEB, Orono, Maine. I am joined here tonight by Just Joseph.
Just Joseph.
Where is everyone else?
That's the mystery, man. Do you want to just go over what could have got them, and what we could do what's most common in Maine versus what's not common in Maine, like what could get you
Yeah,
in
we
Maine.
should definitely flush out a list of what happened to them, but I'm not gonna go find them.
I'm not either. Well, this is start. This is goblins. There's goblins in Maine, but at my house I do have a goblin shrine to ward off goblins. Definitely ghouls. There's a huge ghoul problem in Maine.
Yeah, there
It's,
is.
it's truly an epidemic.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, Paul LePage, he never talks about it.
Yeah, it's a hard excuse me, flubbing my words here. It's a hard topic to tackle.
So you were just flubbing your words because I thought you were just possessed for a moment. I was very scared.
No, not possessed, not yet.
Not yet. That's the way to think.
Well, actually, soon I'm looking to get possessed by some sort of being, as a paranormal journalist, to hopefully interview it. And the only way it would be able to speak to me is through my own body. So I would ask it questions, and it would respond with my body, and then I'd, be able to write them down, or probably just record it.
Hey, listen, guy. If you get possessed, do you want to come on the show and do an interview?
That would be great, but obviously it'd also be up to, whatever being was possessing me would have to try and get a good one.
I mean, I would love to talk to a demon on air. I feel like that's good radio.
I think I could get a demon. It could be dangerous. I have plenty of shackles at home. It should be fine. Gonna need... You said you were raised Catholic, so you probably have a crucifix or two.
Yeah, I have plenty.
Yeah, we could get... we could do the exorcism live on air as well. If that would be...
That's a pretty good idea. I have heard that at one point in time an exorcist did take place in this very studio. From my knowledge, according to Jack Fonchez of Crepes, the board that I'm using right now to produce the audio for this evening's broadcast was in fact infested by a demon at one point.
Really? A minor demon, or?
I don't know the exact details. We'll have to talk to Jack about that one.
Yeah, how can we contact Jack? Do you think he's awake right now?
I don't know. We'll have to light there should be some sort of signal here at the station.
Oh, yeah, like bonfires.
That's a great idea, actually. Maybe if there were a signal, we could light it, and the rest of the Mystery Hour would care to join us tonight.
That would be a good idea. We need them. Well, we don't need them. I think you and I are doing fine this episode, but I don't know how many episodes we can do, just you and I.
Probably not many. We could probably summon Wolf.
You guys, what you gotta do is you've gotta get a spotlight.
Oh, the spotlight, where's that?
No, you've just gotta get a spotlight with like an M on it and just shine it at the clouds from the top of the Union whenever you need everybody to show up.
Well, I think what happened is the M actually turned upside down, and there's a W for Wolf, and that's why Wolf's here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Well, I was wondering what that was all about.
Well, I'm glad you came.
It really worked out. You just tuned in to the Orno Mystery Pirate Hour with Joseph, Roy Michaels, and Wolf. Glad to be here tonight.
Still not a werewolf.
Not yet.
Not yet, at least.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, can I talk to you about that, Joseph?
Yeah. But what?
No offense.
Just werewolves?
No offense to Wolf. I loved having you on the show last week, but I asked you to get a werewolf, and I mean you got me Wolf, and that was great. But werewolf.
I thought you were saying where's Wolf.
So I'm working really hard here, man. And was this the amateur hour? We can't even get a werewolf.
I'm sorry, Roy.
You can't even get Bloody Mary. Come on, guys.
Yeah, and if you didn't hear Wolf, he just said we couldn't even get Bloody Mary, and that's true.
Well, to be fair with Bloody Mary, it was 4 very handsome men all in one room, and she could have just been shy.
That's true. She seems pretty outgoing to me. I don't think you should.
Well, a lot of times introverts can seem outgoing. Yeah, if you really get to strike up a conversation with an introvert, they can just go on and on for quite a while. And maybe she's like that. She seems extroverted, but she's just
Yeah, or maybe, just maybe, she's a really handsome man, and in the reflection... Wait, was Keith in the room at the time?
Yes, Keith.
Well,
was.
this does kind of wrench the theory, but maybe the reflection of the handsome man you saw was, in fact, Bloody Mary.
That's a good point. It could be.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
We don't have any mirrors in here, Roy.
What is that?
Yeah, do you have a... I mentioned a ghost story that happened to me that was a little bit scary.
You asked me if I have specifically a ghost story?
Yeah, well, do you have just a little scary anecdote that I haven't heard before?
I did have... Well, I had one on the ghost episode, the very first episode of the show. I don't know if you want me to reuse that one. I think it was one of my scariest because it was one of my least expected ghosts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be good if you did reiterate that story, because we did lose the recording of the ghost episode, and that was 10 weeks ago. I believe it was destroyed by the CIA, for being too truthful. We're also not recording tonight, so we will probably use the same narrative that the CIA did destroy this episode.
Okay, cool.
But you want
Yeah. So I work at a retirement home. I'm a waiter, and a lady wanted to move seats, so I asked her, so Royce.
Yeah, a retirement home, you said.
Yep.
Hotbed for paranormal activity.
Absolutely. People, they expire,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it happens. It's just part of life. But anyway, she wanted me to move. I was moving her food and her silverware to a smaller table. I think she wanted to dine alone. And I heard someone say either hello or help. And when I was turning around out of the corner of my eye, I saw a short one with black hair. And, black hair is pretty rare in a retirement home. So,
Sorry.
that wasn't really a joke. It was just kind of a fact. But, I'm glad I could make you laugh. And when I made a full rotation, whatever entity it was gone, and I realized I didn't actually hear the voice. I felt it inside. It was like almost behind my ear is where I felt the voice inside my head.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's... I do hear a lot of paranormal events that involve some sort of telekinesis with the reported entity.
Yeah, it's I think it's easier to manipulate our brains than it is for them to, manipulate their own deceased vocal cords.
Yeah, truly. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Some good wisdom.
Thank you. Just, you can don't ever expect to find a ghost, expect for a ghost to find you.
That's a good take-home message.
Yeah.
Truly.
I think it's always, that story definitely made me prepared. Not obviously more prepared, but to make myself be more prepared mentally for ghosts and, to watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go ghost hunting sometime?
I absolutely do. I'm just a journalist right now, but I'd love to get into it. And I'd have to do it before I finish paranormal law, obviously, because I'd be very busy after that. There's not a lot of paranormal
Yeah,
lawyers.
and there is some sort of, legal issues. You can't be a paranormal lawyer and go out, get an EVPs to play with the boys, electronic voice phenomena.
Yeah. It's, there's two different jobs, and it's not really good to have both. I feel like if I have one and then I start another, it's just kind of taking a job away from, someone that really earned one of those jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is 1 a.m., and that means that the mystery hour is officially coming to a close. Joseph, earlier I had you hum while I told a ghost story. Would you care to hum again while I outro the show?
Are you going to have a little hissy fit if I do it wrong, Roy?
I didn't have a hissy fit.
You had a hissy fit. You've had 2 or 3 hissy fits throughout the episode.
It's finals week.
I also take finals this week, and I have had 0 hissy fits.
Take home message. You know, finals week, you might be stressed out and you might need to relax, but if you go to www.facebook.com/Midnight Mystery Hour, you can go through the archives and listen to our old recordings and just sort of kick back and have a good old mysterious time and relax. But also, don't relax. It's finals week. Pain is temporary. GPA is forever. If you are truly worried, get a Ouija board and sell your soul to Baphomet for good grades.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I would like to thank, first off, Jimmy Ozog for composing several original ambient pieces of music to be used on the show, although we did not have a soundtrack tonight.
Got some sweet hums, though.
We got some sweet hums. Then I would like to thank the wonderful folks behind the scenes at WMEB for making this show possible and helping us grow along the way and sort of powering our journey into the unknown. And I'd like to thank you at home, the listener, for sticking by your radio into the late hours of the night. I'm going to be turning you over to Robo DJ, and let me tell you, when people say that artificial intelligence will replace our population, it's happening as we speak.
I've actually got a story for that episode whenever we get to it.
Yeah. If we didn't destroy the episode, if we didn't destroy the Mystery Hour tonight.
I don't think we did.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am Roy Michaels. I am joined by Joseph Willett.
Yep.
I'm sorry I revealed your last name.
I actually already said that on the show earlier.
Yeah, Wolf's around here somewhere, but I'd like to thank Wolf of Orono Pirate Radio for coming on and making a cameo.
He really responded to that, the W in the sky really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. His show's on before our show, so if you tune into this station at 9 o'clock between midnight, you will be listening to Orono Pirate Radio. They have some very good transitions between songs on that show.
They absolutely do.
And I'm rambling away. That is 104. I'm Roy Michaels, and you just listened to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM at WMEB, Orono, Maine. Back again next week at the same time and same place. I'm going to play us out with a track from a band called Dead Ghosts. I haven't really listened to them much, but it seems appropriate for the Mystery Hour. So, without further ado, I'll see you next week. Here's Drink a Drive by Dead Ghosts.